Ty, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to go ahead and talk about my recent reads that I had towards the last part of October. And so these are going to be my spooky, horror, mystery thriller reads. And so I have a couple of books that I listen to on audio, I have a couple of physical books, and then I have one ebook. So we will go ahead and get started. So the first story that I want to talk about is Mexican Gothic by the author Sylvia Moreno Garcia. And this is actually one of the audiobooks that I listened to. And this story is about our main character by the name of Noemi. And at the beginning of the story, her father has received a letter from her cousin by the name of Catalina. And her cousin has recently married this man by the name of Virgil. And in this letter, she says that she believes her husband is poisoning her. She thinks that the house that she's living in is haunted. She thinks that she is seeing ghosts. And basically, she wants somebody to come get her and bring her out of there. And so her father is deciding that he's going to send Noemi to go up there, see what's going on, and try and get Catalina out of there. And so Noemi goes up to the house, and the house is actually called High Place. And she is tasked with trying to figure out if Noemi is sick, if something psychological is going on, and if something is truly going on with this house. And when she gets there, she realizes that it's not only Virgil and Catalina that's living there, but it's also Virgil's father and some other extended family members and some servants. And over time, I believe she's there for like maybe a few weeks. She is starting to learn some background about the house. She is starting to go in and out of town, and she's starting to realize that maybe something is going on with this house. And over time, the house is starting to have its effects on her, and that is basically the story. And so I ended up rating this story a 4 out of 5 stars. For the most part, I enjoyed this story. I will say that it did take me about halfway before I was truly invested in this story. I will say that I do think it was a slow start. Not to say that I thought that the story was boring. I just thought that it's just a slow build to everything. It's a lot of explaining. It's a lot of setup. The story is kind of, I guess, atmospheric in a way. It's trying to build up the tone. It's trying to build up the vibe, which I did enjoy the vibe of this story. That's one of the things I really did enjoy about this story. I love a good haunted house, creepy house feel, and that is exactly what I got out of the story. One of my favorite things about this story. I will say that at a certain point, once we started getting a lot of the background about what was taking place, not only with the family, but what was going on with the house, at times I do kind of feel like that storyline got a little bit convoluted and it might not work for everybody. I enjoyed it, but I can see how that cannot work for everybody. I also really enjoyed some of the characters. I liked Virgil, not necessarily him as a character, but I liked how creepy he was as a character. Also, his father, Howard, as a character. That's where I think the audiobook really can come in handy as far as building up the spook factor in the story. I think how they were described was fantastic and their creepiness was fantastic. So I think if you're going to read this, I would definitely suggest listening to the audiobook. There are some really nasty, creepy things that were described. So I would definitely have a listen to that. I will say there are a couple of trigger warnings that I picked up on. There is a suggestion of rape in here. There is a graphic killing of a baby in here. There is some incest in here. So if any of that bothers you, all of that is in here and more. So I would be wary of that. One of the other things that I wasn't too much of a fan of in here, that I'm not really a fan of a lot in not just horror books, but horror movies, is romance plots. I don't understand it, especially like in this one where you're like in this haunted house. You're supposed to be worried about your cousin and trying to figure out what's going on with her. We don't have time to try and find love. You're trying to get out of this creepy house, and you know, there was this side romance plot, and I just didn't care for that. We didn't need that. We didn't have time for that, but that's in here. So there's that. But overall, like I said, I ended up giving this a 4 stars. This was my first book by this author. She is a very popular author. This does make me want to pick up another book from this author. So I would say if you haven't read this, I would definitely give it a try. Again, I can't say it enough. I would definitely give the audiobook for this one a try. I thought it was great. So the next book that I want to talk about is another adult, guess you can call this like historical fiction horror. I didn't say it for the last one, but the Mexican Gothic was an adult horror book. But this one I was really excited for because I have heard nothing but good things about this one. I don't think I've heard not one negative thing about this book, but this is Ring Shout by P. Djeli Clark. And bear with me while I try to describe this book. Okay, so this takes place around 1922, I believe. And we are following these group of Black women as they go around and they are following Ku Klux Klan members. And they are able to see Ku Kluxes. And Ku Kluxes are specific Klan members that turn into these like 9-foot demons. Not everybody has the sight to see these demons. So to some people, these Ku Kluxes still look like regular white men. But to other people, they look like these 9-foot demons. There. So we have these group of women who actually make it their mission to go around killing these Ku Kluxes. So at the beginning of this book, we have these group of women who are killing these Ku Kluxes, and they notice that there are some Ku Kluxes that are acting very strange. We come to find out that there's this man by the name of Butcher Clyde who has this greater plot that he is going to try to use one of these women by the name of Maurice to basically take over the world. So there's this like bigger plot going on here, but this book deals with so much. So you know, we're in the early 1900s with Black people, you got Klan members out there, so you know we're dealing with a lot of racism, inequality. It talks about medical experimentation on Black people. So this book is dealing with so much. And then there is some comical relief in this story. I also listened to this on audiobook. I don't remember if I said that in the beginning of this, but I did listen to this on audiobook. I would highly recommend listening to this on audio. I wouldn't even want people to read this physically. I would only tell you to listen to this on audio because it was fantastic. The woman that reads this on audio does a fantastic job. And I feel like she brought this to life. And I don't necessarily say about a lot of books. I'm not somebody that is a huge rereader, but this is something that I could listen to again like right now. And I already listened to this not too long ago. I would probably enjoy it again the second time because I already know what's going to happen. But I could enjoy this again right away. This was phenomenal. There are some characters in here that I enjoyed, but my favorite character wasn't even the main character. It was a side character by the name of Sadie. She is the one that I thought brought the comedic relief. I think this book is so heavy and it brings on such heavy topics that she was the right amount of comedic relief that this book needed. And she says a lot of funny things that I just can't say here on this channel, but this was what I needed. Now, I did say that this was a horror. It is. There are a few little graphic scenes in here. There are some creepy scenes that just made my skin crawl, and how the woman that read this narrated it, she did just a fantastic job. I cannot sing this book its praises enough. You guys have to check this out. I cannot recommend it enough. Please, if you have not checked out Ring Shout, listen to it. You will not be disappointed. I promise. So the other book that I read was on my Kindle, and I'll leave a picture of it here, but it's called Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca, and it is a short little novella, and I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but it is told in email and instant messenger format. And it is between two women. And it starts off with a woman that is trying to sell an apple peeler. And the conversation takes off from there. I'm not going to say anything more than that. This is very weird. It gets weird fast. And it doesn't stop being weird once you get into it. I don't have any words. The entire time I was reading this, I just kept saying, what the hell am I reading? That's all that I could say. I don't even know. I actually described that book to my grandma, and she was like, what is this the kind of thing that you read? And I was like, yes, grandma, this is the kind of thing that I read. It was crazy. It was one of those things that I was actually mad that it was so short, because I just needed more. I needed to know what was gonna happen, because it just ended so abruptly. I needed to know more. I needed more than 100 pages. I needed about another 100 pages, because that was a hot mess, and I was here for it. I was here for that hot mess. Was it the best thing ever written? No, it wasn't. And it wasn't, I think it's considered a horror. It's nasty. It's not right. I don't know what that man was thinking when he wrote that. I don't know what to tell y'all. I don't know if I would like recommend it. I don't even know why you would read it. I don't even know what to say. It was like one of those things that I would just tell you to read it like if you're bored. Like if you need like a palate cleanser. I don't know. I don't know. Like the cover got me, I guess. I don't know. Like if this is the kind of stuff that this author writes, I would read something else from him. If I didn't have anything else to do. So I ended up giving that 4 out of 5 stars. It was great. I enjoyed it. It was a fun time. It was a great hour of my life. It was great. Moving on. So the next book that I have is The X Hex by Aaron Sterling. And oh boy, I really wanted to love this. I really did. I really needed, after all the crazy things that I have read this month, not even just the ones that I'm talking about here, but the other stuff that I have read this month, I really just needed like that lighthearted book to just, you know, pick me up. And oh, this was just, anyways. So The X Hex. We are following our main characters, Vivian and Reese, who had dated 9 years in the past, and they had unexpectedly broke up because Reese has been betrothed to someone back in Wales who his father had set him up with, and he had neglected to tell Vivian, and he had told her one night when they were in bed together, and of course she got angry and ended up breaking up with him. And lo and behold, they are both witches. And she had went back to her, I believe, cousin's house, her cousin Gwen, and they had decided that they were going to put this hex on him, and they thought that they were playing around. Turns out that this hex actually worked. So 9 years later, around Halloween, Reese has to come back to the town because it is the day before Halloween, I believe, and it's Founders Day. It's 25 years. It's like their 25-year anniversary of his family, and he has to like come and give this like speech, and he has to perform these ley lines or something, some kind of magic for his family. And he comes back, and the hex is in full effect, and it wreaks havoc in this town and messes up the magic in the town, and they have to try to fix it. That is what this story is about. And this is supposed to be an adult romance. Yeah. I ended up giving this book a 3 stars. It was okay. So it gave all of like the fall cozy vibes. So, you know, you have the witches, you have the small town, it's around Halloween time, it's all fun and cozy. You know, you got the witches, the black cats, it even has like a haunted house in there, you got ghosts in there and spells and all that, but that's about it. I wasn't really feeling the romance in here, and I didn't really feel like this was all that adult to me. Besides like the sex scenes in this, you wouldn't even know that this was an adult story. Besides them telling you like how old they are, if you didn't know that they were in their late 20s, if the author didn't tell you that, and if you didn't have the explicit sex scenes every once in a while, you would probably think these people were like in, I don't know, high school, middle school, with the stuff that was going on in this story. It just read so young to me. I don't know exactly what I was expecting going into this, but this wasn't it. And I think my 3 stars is being nice. This just wasn't what I thought I was getting in this. I also, for some reason, with the name Reese, it's the same name from the Sarah J. Maas books. So that's what I was thinking about every time I was reading this. So that was taking me out the story. I would have rather read that. Anyways, I just wasn't, I don't know. I'm just really disappointed with this. I was really excited about this. I just also wasn't really feeling their romance because at the beginning of the story, you know, she was so upset with him because, you know, he was set to marry somebody else and he didn't tell her. She was upset to the point that she went and put a hex on him. And so when he, you know, just popped back up, I felt like she was mad for a second, but she wasn't mad long enough. And it was back to them, you know, flirting and stuff real soon. I didn't care for it. It was okay. If you want to read this just to get your Halloween vibes, by all means, knock yourself out. But other than that, I didn't care for this. It was okay. It's fine. Now, the last book that I read that I just got done with last night, that that I have so many thoughts on that we're not even going to get through all of them today or in this video. And that is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. And this is the second book by Riley Sager that I have read. And this follows our, oh, I didn't say it. I always forget to say it, but it is another adult, I guess you would call this one more of like a thriller. But this follows our main character by the name of Charlie, who is in college, and she is trying to make it back home to Ohio. So she decides that she is going to accept a ride from a complete stranger so that she can go home. And while she is in the car with this strange man that she has never met a day in her life, she realizes that this strange man just might be the infamous campus killer that has been on the loose and that has also just recently murdered her roommate, Maddie. And so now she has to try to survive the night. Dun, dun, dun. So, that is what this book is about. Okay. So I actually ended up giving this book a 3 stars. I don't even know where to start. So many people that are like Riley Sager fans do not like this book. Like I said, this is my second book from Riley Sager. I am middle of the road because there are some things that I liked about it and there are some things that I did not like about it. And I'm going to keep this spoiler free, but I am with everybody else when I say that the main character, Charlie, is dumb. She made some very dumb decisions in this book that I just could not get behind. Very dumb. Very dumb. Her first mistake was getting in this car with somebody that she did not know. We just don't do that. So that was mistake number 1. And it went downhill from there. It never got better. So I am in agreement with everybody on that one. Now, from there, like I said, there were some things that I liked some stuff. I didn't like other stuff. Now, she would be considered an unreliable narrator. I am somebody who likes that trope in books when it is done well. I think in this story, Riley Sager did it very well. I can't tell you how he did it because I think that is a spoiler. But I think for her in this book, he did it very well because throughout this story, I feel like you could not trust a thing that came out of her mouth. Nothing. And I enjoyed that. I also felt like the way he set up this character that she was in the car with, it made it to where you couldn't really trust him either. So I kind of like that, and I like the interaction between them two. So I was here for that. Now, that was it. That's where I stopped liking it. I did not like the end of this. And when I say the end, I mean the end. I ain't like that. I didn't like the end. I didn't like the reveal at the end. I didn't like... there was like some other like twists that were revealed in there. And I still just don't know how I feel about those. I don't know. I'm just so up and down with like the stuff that was happening in this book. It just was just all over the place. But the thing about it was like one of those books that you just like, this is a hot mess, but I can't stop reading it. I don't know how he managed to do that, because when I started reading this and I started like really getting into it, it was like, this is not great, but I need to keep reading it to see where you're going. And that's what he was able to do. So would I recommend this to somebody as somebody who hasn't read a lot of Riley Sager, yes, I would recommend this. I'm not sure if other people who are huge fans of Riley Sager would recommend this one. I don't know. I did actually end up tabbing all the times where I thought she was being dumb. That was fun because I tabbed a lot. I ended up tabbing all the times where I thought she was being dumb, and then I tabbed all the times where I thought she could have got out of her situation. So it's a lot of tabs. I could have saved her life a lot of times, but unfortunately I wasn't there to help her. So there's that. So like I said, I was middle of the road, so I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5 stars. There you go. I will say, even though I was middle of the road for that, I've still only read 2 of his books. I still plan on reading his other books because I'm just intrigued at this point. He has me intrigued, so I'll keep trying. So that is all that I have for you guys, and I hope that I'll see you guys next time. Bye.